T.
Miss T.
Miss T. Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
And I want to bring you the person who is an incredible creative entrepreneur here in Sacramento and across the state and now across the United States, Ms. T. Sandoval. T has mentored nearly 200,000 youth in school districts and underserved communities throughout California and across the globe. And I think maybe we'll sit down. Hello? Okay. So, T, would you introduce yourself and your journey to creative entrepreneurship?
Love to. So one, thank you. I'm so ultra honored that I get to be present with you all. It's not often that, I get to look at myself. I see power, I see strength, I see resilience, I see agility, and it's refreshing and exciting for me to be in such company. Most often when I do, I'm a standalone. And so this feels good to me today. So thank you for letting me be here. I think it's important to start with the facts. Sometimes, most often people want me to talk about what I do, which is, ginormous when you take a step at it and you're not in the thick of it. But I think it's important that you all know I'm a multi-generational welfare recipient. My mom was on welfare. My grandma was on welfare. My great-grandma was on welfare. You're looking at a miracle. When I first decided to start my company, it wasn't because I had a great business idea. It was because we were losing our black and brown babies to the streets. I am from Oakland, the bad part. I am from Richmond, which is worse than the bad part of Oakland. And I relocated to Sacramento because I could afford to live better here, like a whole bunch of Bay Area natives. Unfortunately, we kind of brought our stuff with us. And so I learned in this very conservative city that they didn't have the tools, they didn't have resources, and they didn't have the cultural equity to service my brand of baby. And so I started just doing hip hop dance in the park. And I'll get into this a little bit later because people will always try to put what we do in a box, and there is no box. And I did hip hop in the park. All I had was $5 in my pocket. I had a portable speaker and 4 little kids that kept showing up. And the next week it was 12. And in a month it was 30, and then in 4 months there was 70 kids, and we all out there turning different shades of brown because in freaking Sacramento it is hot. And so when I had about 70 babies out in the park, I realized something. Number one, this is not the safe, most climate well atmosphere for us to develop champions. And secondly, I was onto something. It was organically growing on its own, and I was producing talent that now works with the best of the best in the industry as creative directors for the largest grossing tour for Beyonce. And So You Think You Can Dance winner, which is now a global phenom. They work with the likes of Chris Brown, Usher, Kendrick Lamar. They did a Super Bowl halftime. I can go on and on and on about what my talent does, and we all started outside at the park. So when you're listening to statistics and you're listening to things and you're listening to the language and the brand language, I think I mentioned it earlier, there's a language barrier. And I think that sometimes people use this language as they broker it as a weapon against people like me who are trying to do the right thing through entrepreneurship, not knowing that I'm doing entrepreneurship. I'm just trying to stop kids from dying.
Right.
I'm trying to prevent young ladies at 15 from getting pregnant. I'm trying to prevent 12-year-old girls from ending up in the juvenile hall where I capture them there too. So when I first started building my company, again, it was just to be a protective mama bear. And then it evolved. So I tried to take the traditional path. Okay, T, you like to dance. So what do people that dance do? They get a studio and they build classes and blah, blah, blah. Not my deal, baby. I only knew hip hop. And where I'm from, guess what? There were no dance studios. Know why? We didn't have money. We had Soul Train, MTV, and that was only because Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and Paula Abdul was doing music videos. And I had a show called Fame. So my training, my learning, especially as it pertains to creative leadership, came from studying the greats who I never met, who I was never in a room with. So when you talk about things like creativity, you've got to consider the fact that everybody ain't going to get in your box with you. Sometimes you got to kick down the walls of your box and get in community with them. So can I say a little bit now about what I do?
Yeah.
Okay. So
What are you up to right now?
Yeah, right now I'm up to some things. So Julie mentioned, just so that you know, I'm on the board for the Californians for the Arts, and that has been a tremendous game changer for someone like me. So I've learned things like policy and advocacy, which is a primary thing that I do for hundreds of thousands of young people across the country, is I am their voice. For other women leaders like me, I am their evidence. And so I'm definitely a board member, but in addition to that, I also have an award-winning television program for kids called Auntie's Corner. I also have Studio T Arts Entertainment, where we serve youth across the country in excess of, I think we're serving in excess of 200,000 youth now. In arts, media, and entrepreneurship, I like it when people talk about things like financial literacy, but they don't teach people how to make money. They just want to educate them on what to do with it when they get it. Boo, 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 boo. So yeah, I teach entrepreneurship, baby. I want to empower you to produce, and then I will teach you the literacy piece, which teaches you how to multiply what you earn. That's not somebody else's job. That's your job. So anyhow, I do that. I also just acquired 4 square blocks, which houses 45,000 square feet of real estate that we call the Innovation Factory. Now let me tell you what's in this building. I have 4 podcast studios. I have 8 dance spaces. I have a banquet hall, a black box theater. I have a hair and makeup shop. I have a DJ lab. I have a fashion lab. I have several media labs. I have tons of real estate for people to come in and incubate their own businesses by way of lease and rent. I also have my staff here, so I try to remember all the things. I have a movie theater. So freaking cool. I have a movie theater. And then in addition to that, I own it. This is not something I rent. I own it.
You own the building. Talk about the building. Talk about what it takes to own a building, why ownership is important.
So the reason ownership is important is, I hear people talk about the individual homeless population issue that we have. But there are small businesses led by well-meaning, good-hearted, hardworking women and women of color who are homeless. Now I'm celebrating my 26th anniversary as a business owner, but I've only owned my own real estate for 2 years, and it was hard. So you have to consider things like, I'll give you the reasoning for that. What I'm building, I'm not building for today, I'm building for Generation Beta. One of the problems that we had was we kept getting kicked out of spaces. Can't nobody kick me out of this space, which means can't nobody kick my kids out of this space, which means can't nobody kick my kids' kids out of this space. So now I'm ultra intentional about legacy, ownership and legacy, because we do all this great work, but what happens when what happens when we get tired? Because we get tired. What happens when we get sick? What happens when we decide, this is a lot? Holy cats, this is a lot, and I need to go on vacation for a month. Then what? Does the business sustain? Does it grow? And does it continue to serve? And so the reason it's a whole lot of work through ownership is because I'm building for something that no one can ever take away from, not me. I'm not building anything that I have for me. I'm building it for my babies.
So can we give them a little example of what you bring to all communities across the U.S. and bring this crowd to the end of a wonderful California Women's Economic Summit?
Yeah, of course we
Ready for
can.
that?
Of course we can. So, okay, I did start with hip hop dance, right? Listen, don't be mad at me. Just decide you like me right now. Decide. Decide right now, because I'm about to make you do something. Okay? So one of the biggest challenges I face, again, going across the country, the question I ask most people, particularly people that come from under-resourced, tech-starved, completely overlooked, unintentionally invisible populations of people is like, oh, baby, what do you want? And most often they cannot tell me what they want. They tell me what they think they want. Like, I want to be successful. Baby, what does that mean exactly? Because you know what success is to me? A bran muffin and a cup of hot tea and nobody talking to me. Success. So that's not an answer. But before I can get them to the detail of what they want, I have to open them creatively. So before I leave this room, I want to give you something simple that's going to keep you open creatively, because as you go into your sectors, as you go back and build and dream bigger and do all this stuff, I'm going to give you a little something fun that you can do to kind of keep the juices flowing. And then remember, Miss T showed up. That lady's wild, but I like her. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, so remember, I didn't take no classical ballet. I'm a hip hop girl from the streets. So can we do a tiny, don't get mad at me. Remember I said it. So can we do a little bit of that today? Yeah. Okay, I brought my own music. Is that all right? Okay, so you're going to stand up. Give yourself some room. Now, ain't nobody doing no handspins or nothing like that. We're just going to have a good time. And I'm going to tell them they need to give us some volume. Y'all been working yesterday. You're working today. You're about to go back to work. I just want to make sure that whatever you brought in here by way of how am I going to do this? This is really hard. I'm feeling overwhelmed. This is a whole lot. I don't want you to leave here with that. So as you're doing this creative movement, I want you to consider something very important. What am I leaving here that no longer serves me? And we're going to dance it off. You got it? All right. Anytime, boss. We're waiting on you. I'm trying to stall. All right. So first things first. When you hear the music, we'll do something called playing the beat. It's so easy. All you're doing is saying yes with your head. Go. It's so easy. Step clap. Hey, let's go. 8 more. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3. Now hit a pause. See all this camera. Start the beat. Hey, look at somebody find the beat. Step clap. Oh, come on, do it faster than that. Do it again. Come on. It's all right. You can make noise. Jump. It's not science class. You can make noise. And breathe. Now this next thing is going to require you to have some attitude. So I'm going to tell you to move. Don't do it like you're a saltine track. It's rolling. Now say it. Now say it like I said it. Say it louder than the voice. Now breathe. And step back. Ready,
They diss my person, but they think I'm darkly packed. I know this, so I can act you tip and he's been right. So I don't do it. If you fight you, I'll finally punch the finger and take your life. If it's too less difficult to shoot, that's me, myself, and not. Yes.